Ladies and gentlemen, our valedictory guest of honor, Dr. Vijay Kumar, IPS, former DGP and the Security Advisor, Ministry of Home Affairs, entering the hall. May I request everybody to stand up and give a warm round of applause. It is with immense pleasure that we welcome all of you to the valedictory session. After a series of enriching discussions and insightful sessions, I am sure you are all interested to know and take away whatever that you can today. I'm sure we did our best and you also had a great time. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Mr. Parvez Alam, the President of PMI Chennai chapter, to start the welcome address for the valedictory session.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Since I already welcomed you in the morning, in the interest of time, I would like to welcome our Honorable Chief Guest and Guest of Honor today, Vijay Kumar sir. And despite his busy schedule, he has agreed to come. And it's very coincidental that tomorrow is sir's birthday and then he is here today. And I just came to know while discussing just before this meeting that sir is one who got IAS rank but who's opted IPS. And that shows that how passionate he is with the policing and police. And thanks so much, sir, I think, for the contribution you made for the, not only to the state, but for the country, the entire country. You are being an inspiration and role model. And next, I would like to welcome our valedictory keynote speaker, Dr.Prateep, sir. And actually, without him, we would not have got our guest of honor, Vijay Kumar sir, today. I think because of this book release and because he being a mentee and mentor relationship, actually we came to know this now. And because of this, we could able to get both of them are here. And welcome you, sir. And I also welcome our regional mentor, Prasanna, and my colleagues, Vijay, Shivaram, and Dinesh, and board members, past board members, and external board members, and all the delegates. It's an amazing for us for have this valedictory with these two icons. With this, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Parvez. Parvez, may I request you to felicitate Dr. Vijay Kumar, IPS, and Dr. Prateep V. Philip, IPS. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause.
Let's make a difference and only. PMI Chennai 2024.
Thanks Lord, both of you, for joining us today for Sangamam 24. So I request all of you to be seated. So coming up next, so we, Prasanna? So with that, I request Prasanna Kumar, I'm so sorry for that. So with that, may I request Prasanna Sampath Kumar. He's going to kill me because this is the second time I'm pronouncing his name wrong. So I did it first time in PMI South Asia Conference, and Prasanna, I think we have some deep connection here. So I request Prasanna Sampath Kumar, the region mentor PMI South Asia, for giving us PMI South Asia updates. I did it right this time, Prasanna. Big round of applause, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. We will settle it after the conference. Good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be on the dais with such dignitaries like Dr. Vijay Kumar sir and Dr. Prateep sir. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Chennai chapter, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And this is the 13th Sangamam, and I'm here on the stage for the 13th time. So that gives me much more pleasure. Like I mentioned in my welcome message, This is like attending a family function for me, so always very close to my heart. As far as updates from the region is concerned, just for the benefit of those who don't know what is this region is all about, PMI is segregated into various geographical regions for administrative purpose, and our region is called as PMI South Asia, and this includes countries like India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. There are about 11 chapters in these 3 countries, 9 in India, 1 each in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. And I'm very grateful that I've become a part of this particular region, because this is the most vibrant region in the entire PMI community. And I'm not just saying this. This is this can be proved by the recent data that 9 out of the 11 chapters in this region are qualified for the Chapter of the Year award. That includes Chennai chapter as well. So kudos to the Chennai chapter. This is basically decided based on the membership feedback survey that's been conducted and the feedback that members are given. So that means that Chennai chapter is doing an amazing job with respect to value delivery for the members. And not only that, within our region, Chennai chapter is the best when it comes to the retention rate. So Chennai chapter has the highest retention rate in the entire South Asia region. Once again, kudos to Chennai chapter for that. And with respect to other updates, we have been talking about various offerings from PMI AI. On the AI, I requested all of you to become a member of AI community and enjoy all the offerings that are being offered for the project management community to make the world a better place, or to enhance project success or maximize project success. That is the PMI Next, that is PMI has recently launched, which is not just the strategy, but it is the purpose, strategy, and culture, a combo of all these 3. Under this umbrella, PMI has various offerings. One of them is PMI AI, that includes online sessions, webinars, thought leadership series, and the 3 courses that we have been talking from the morning. So once again, I request all of you to become a member of that community and help yourself by learning all the latest trends with respect to AI. Once again, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and Magirshi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prasanna Sampath Kumar. I really missed your Tirukural this time. I'm a big fan of the unique kurals that you come up with every meeting. Thank you so much for that. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, so we have Dr. Prateep B. Philip with us today. So he is not just here as our valedictory keynote speaker, he's also going to release his book called Sense X. So we're going to have a book release now. So may I request the console to hand over the... Yeah, thank you so much. So I request Mr. Vijay Kumar IPS to release the book, and I request Mr. Parvez Alam and the other board members to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause.
Vijay music, let's make a difference and drift only. Sangamatai tuangi baipo. PMI Chennai 2024. Here we go, project managers.
A big round of applause again for the book Sense X.
We got the leaders, greatest the speakers. They're gonna inspire us. We got professionals, we have the power. Let's make a change in the world.
Congratulations, Dr. Prateep B. Philip. So it must be a fantastic feeling to get it released by your mentor, sir. Thank you so much for using PMI South Asia's, PMI Sangam 2024. I asked for tea and nobody had brought it for me, sir. Moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce our esteemed guest at honor for the evening, Mr. Vijay Kumar IPS, with an illustrations, career in law enforcement, And Mr. Vijay Kumar has demonstrated unwavering commitment, integrity, and leadership in serving our nation. His deep expertise in maintaining law and order, public safety, and his proactive approach toward modernizing policing have set new standards in the field. I'm sure you'll all agree with me in that. Throughout his career, he has been a role model of dedication and public service, inspiring both his colleagues and the communities he serves. Today, we are privileged to have him here with us to share his insights and experiences. Sir, it is a real dream come true moment for me. I never ever thought that I will meet you in person. So please join me, everybody, in welcoming Mr. Vijay Kumar IPS as a guest of honor to the dais to share a few insights, sir.
First of all, two things which perplex me. You're all sitting here since morning? Yes, sir. It didn't seem so. When I came, I saw so much energy inside this room. And the second thing is, thank you for those lavish praise and words, but I'm real, I'm nothing artificial, very simple and straight. Absolutely. Thank you. So, Pradeep, Dr. Prateep Philip, I am not yet a doctor, I'm still an apprentice. I'm trying, several doctorates were coming towards me, I had not pursued it. So thank you for the extra graceful honor you have conferred. Dr. Pradeep Philip, he is a real doctor. Doctorate, not the medical, the other doctor, academic doctor. Prasanna, Sampath Kumar, and Parvez, Mr. Parvez Alam, you came down to meet me the other day, and Vijay Narayan, Shivram, Atmakuri, a lovely second name, that Atmakuri, and Dinesh Babu, Taumani. And 22nd PMI, and I believe this is the 13th Sangamam. Sangam to me evokes the cultural pride of Tamil Nadu, the literary cultural pride of Tamil Nadu, where we are on par with the Romans at the peak and we are trading with Romans. We are no less than anybody in those times itself. We are ancient people, absolutely cultured, sophisticated, and great in many ways. I am proud to be part of that group. Sangamam today seems to have acted like a fast-moving train because I saw your program touching multiple stations. But it's great to wonder, you're all looking so exuberant at this moment when it is supposed to be the valedictory. I admire your energy levels. Philip, Dr. Philip and I go long way back. He joined in '87 and I have been watching him. He's like the Philip, the father of Alexander, whose greatness was overshadowed by the son. Philip introduced, the other original Philip introduced some very important things in the ancient army. One is that long spear called sarisa. Many people have forgotten that. 18 feet. And he made the army of the phalanx. Phalanx means the human wall, together, 16 deep. And he had already made the foundation for Alexander to step on. The comparison stops there. I said, Philip is a thinking cop. We all talk about thinking cop as if cops cannot think. We are only do or die types. As if it is an oxymoron to say a cop thinks. He is not only do or die, but do, think, and die kind of cop. I have been his admirer, watching him write books, which I can't even imagine doing it. I have written just one book. The writer is always in me, jumping to come out, but the hesitation of how to bring it forward, how to vocalize, how to make it on the print is a very, very delicate thing, not easy. The block, the writer's block, you think that you've got a stuff in you, but to bring it out calls for extra energy of an extraordinary nature. And his book is very short, and short books are like grenades. Shorter it is, more explosive it can be. Like Tirukkural, Kadagai Thudaithu, Yezhu Kadalai Puguthi, that is what I remember. That means as if 7 seas have been injected into that one mustard, small one. And also this book is particularly for me Greek and Latin because I have no idea of the financial management at all. Everything is managed by somebody, my better half. However, since I have been familiar with some management books, I could make out A lot of things said about financial prudence. I plodded into the several pages of the book, and I found pearls scattered everywhere. You have the alphabetical order beautifully arranged like the phalanx. And the 4 pillars, essentially what he mentions are the continuing learning. It reminded me of Peter Drucker said, you have to always be updating. Otherwise you will fall back. For you, it's very important to be keeping abreast of what is happening in the world. The critical thinking is another important factor he has underlined. Practical experience and seeking advice and watching the horizon for what is happening. This is very important. Some of you are young, very, very young. Some of you are not so young. But at whatever station you are now handling, you are looking at the future with great optimism. And in order to be there at the right place at the right time, it doesn't happen by sheer fluke. It happens by hard work and industry. So to watch for the right opportunity, he has mentioned few anecdotes about one Sarah he has mentioned in this book. My mind went to another story of Starbucks. You have heard of the Starbucks coffee shop? I think there are how many, 15,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 branches. I am not keeping track now. It was originally started, recently an Indian was there as heading it till last year, till a few months ago. Now we have shifted. The real boss who started this Schwartz, I think it's Charles Schwartz is his name. He's written a book, I've forgotten the title of the book, but I have not forgotten the contents which came in every page. One of the chapters is about his visit, scouting and looking around the horizon. When I'm saying horizon, keep searching and looking for thoughts, ideas, inspirations. He came to Italy. He visited about 300, 400 different coffee shops and tasted the coffee. He relished not only the coffee, but the ambience. He studied. And he says when he walked around the streets, he found how aesthetically inclined the Italian people were as a race, how stylish they were. The panache, the elegance, the dress color codes, and the aesthetics. And he looked at the women drying their laundry, and he saw a pattern even in that. It was not done at random. He saw a pattern in that. He went and bought some fruits. He saw a pattern how the fruit vendor neatly was different from other places. He was arranging the fruits in a particular way. Not uniformly in Florence and Milan and Rome. Each place was different, but there was a special flavor about the place. With all these ideas, he comes back and starts. I am talking about inspiration for coffee can come from the fruit shop or the drying laundry. That's the point I'm trying to make. It can come from the oddest of places. The texture, color, the aesthetics. I also read through the Tamil booklet which you had left with me and found very interesting kurals there. One is talking about, not particularly this kural, I don't think I read this kural, but I was remembering this kural, Parayana Kalidalum, Pudiyana Pugudalum, which is nothing but abandonment of the past. You should know when to jettison and throw away what is irrelevant, what is ancient, what is archaic, and go into the present. That inability of the huge organizations to jettison or throw away the junk is a problem. That is why many of the, I don't want to cite too many examples, multinational corporations have disappeared because of this inability to embrace the future. And about delegation, there is a reference in that booklet you gave me in Tamil. Idane idanal ivan mudipan endru. There is a kural which says, the leader should know, and this applies to me because I was not great in accomplishing things myself, but I knew who will get what things done. I knew the art of delegation. It was not genetically transferred. My father was inspector of police. I was grateful that I am in the year he retired, I joined the IPS. He was so proud of my entry into the service. And his way of looking at IPS was looking as if they are demigods. So he was an inspiration for me to join in IPS and never let down the IPS. That was the one standing theme throughout my life. When going through this book, X Sense, another episode is on Emily, on cost cutting, cutting the cost. Ultimately, it's all in Tamil, Duddu or Dabbu in Telugu. the buck stops. The buck stops here is what is written on the table of US president. But everything stops with a buck for all of us. So if you're talking about any business, if you're not able to cut, not the corners, but cut the cost, you will not be that efficient or you will not be competitive. It's very important. In a book on financial prudence, cost becomes a critical core point. I was reminded of Sam Walton, who is known for his international chain of Walmart. Walmart, when it was started, Sam Walton was the boss. He is no more. His family is now heading it. What did he do? He went around the warehouses of other people and he sat in the rear part where the trucks used to come and lie down, recline and watch what is happening, how the goods are coming, how the goods are moving out. By watching the truck drivers and the way the operation was being carried, he understood there is a scope for cutting time. When you cut the time, you cut cost. And just in time, JIT is a concept all of you will be knowing. If I want something to come, a glass of water to come here just in time and not 1 hour before, that 1 hour of opportunity cost is saved. That is in essence is JIT. And he was the one who introduced that. But where did he get it from? By watching simple truck movements. There is one more example which my brother-in-law who was working in Dell told me. I have not read about it myself. Dell is a computer company. He, I believe, was one of the first to introduce personalized computer. You give your specifications and even by email or even by digital methods you could reach. What did he do in the factory? Assembly of computer was like a workstation. You put in one sensor, somebody puts in one chip, it's a station. But the problem with workstation was, if you didn't have one of the parts, the whole workstation got jammed. It had to wait. So what did he do? He made it like an assembly lane. One side the articles would come, the other side it will go. And he had a better plan of summoning, of requisitioning adequate number of right parts. There was no operational paralysis. So the opportunity where the time, space, cost was done. Talking about ideas, because this book talks about ideas, how to watch, what to watch, how to practice. One of the things, I think some of you must be having iPhones. I am not either for iPhones or the Korean phone or Samsung or the Chinese. But I'm sure a good number of guys, my guess is sufficient number of people must be having iPhone. He was a pioneer and the Samsung and the Chinese models copied on his iPhone. But what is special in the iPhone? It's like a magic in your pocket. That reminds me of the axiom. You know the company called Esso, which was selling fuel. Many of you, I don't see people of my generation too many here. I don't know how many of you are born before 1960. May I ask the question? All 1960, pre-1960, please raise your hands.
Not many.
Oh, there is one more guy. Oh, four. Oh, you're pre-1960? 5. We are just one handful, not even a handful. But it's a powerful bunch of, 4 fingers and one thumb make a very powerful fist. Why did I take this 1960 and Esso? You may not have seen an Esso advertisement, Esso petrol, like Indian, what you call Indian oil and Indian Hindustan Petroleum. You go to the petrol bunk, it was written, put a tiger in your tank. Tank means your petrol tank. Put a tiger and tiger's picture was shown there. And when you walk into the petrol tank, tiger's paws mark will be marked there. And in the petrol tank itself, a small tail of a tiger like in a plastic or something will be given. It was such a fantastic advertisement technique. Any of you in advertising line, you must be knowing what all techniques to arrest the attention and for the retention of memory and for the recollection, what to capture. If you attack the grandchild's attention, it involves the parents, both the sides, and the grandparents, and the whole home is yours. I mean, that is one of the techniques. Now, what did this iPhone magic, I told you, your magic in your pockets, what did he do? This was not his earlier invention. The BlackBerry had the typing. You had to do the BlackBerry. Fantastic equipment. But he didn't have the picture. He didn't have the swiping. He didn't have the magic in your fingers. He made the the other one, tablet. Then he sat around with his team and said, oh, it's a beautiful thing, but how about making it like a bonsai, miniaturizing it and making it small, and give the magic in your palm, not in both the hands. That's all. Imagine that one single idea. I don't know who is the real author. Is it Steve Jobs or the team? Sometimes it gets anonymized. That is very important. The leader should not carry all the credit and run away. It is very often the team's effort. It is the people who surround you may be contributing. You have to be acknowledging. If you're a good leader, you will be able to bring the energy of every single member. It will not be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. It will be a different kind of arithmetic. It is not physics, it will be chemistry which will be working in a team. That's very important about motivation. I should not bring coal to Newcastle because just before I came, you had a speech on motivation. I am not here to rub in the motivation anymore, but only by the way. So I was saying, this book has got reference points which will take you all over the place. I enjoyed every little bit. I have not yet completed the book. I will go through it, but it was something which I relish. Though, like I confessed in the beginning, I am not going to claim that I will understand every little word, but I will take some ideas. Now, very quickly, if you're not too tired, I will mention 1 or 2 points about the artificial intelligence. Can I? Sure. There is a reference in one of your brochures or thing that AI and leadership. So I was puzzled. Am I supposed to speak a little bit on AI and leadership because I have got my own take? I am not an expert or a technologically savvy man like most of you. I am a generalist, but I have been in the practice of more than 4 decades in different positions of leadership. Because we are dropped in the IPS by a golden parachute to be a leader, something like a born leader. The moment I entered the service, I had 100 people working under me. This is not an opportunity that everybody can get in every station in life. So we are all very privileged. So when I talk about leadership, I must say that keep the AI as your assistant. Never allow the AI to be the master. It's going to be dangerous. I am not saying this. Bill Gates himself, whose company, Microsoft, is one of the leaders in this chat GPT and things like that. And Elon Musk, who dropped out of it, 2017, he was into this group, he has dropped out because he is a maverick, he is a different kind of brilliant man. This AI should be like your cell phone. It has got things more complex, more intelligent than the entire congregation here put together. You put all of your intelligence together, you will not match the brilliance of the cell phone because it's a computer, mini computer, it's a personal assistant, it's a secretariat, it's a Photoshop, it's a calculator, and another hundreds of things. None of us can be that. But the command of the cell phone remains with you. Please remember, the AI should be treated only at that level. We should not get overawed and say, AI will take over, because it's very dangerous. If you see it command, then the future is going to be very, very complex. As it is, today's world is not like yesterday's world, not like our world. We have all contributed in spoiling many good things of this world. Whatever man touches, there is degradation, is one saying. I am not saying this to the group of techies here. I am saying as an axiom, as a quote of somebody. If man goes to the mountains start degrading. But man has to progress also. We are not saying keep him in the cave, he has to advance. But I want to give you an article by one Kevin Roose, New York Times, written last year only. He wanted to experiment with AI. And he had a partner, the AI partner, and after he called the partner Sydney. On one side, Sydney was helping out on professional matters, it was all right. Then Sydney became his life partner kind of thing. Sydney started influencing him, Sydney started understanding him so much. Sydney told Roose one day, I love you more than your wife and family, why don't you leave them and come with me? You understand? You don't think it's a nebulous, it is amorphous, it is intangible, it cannot be felt. It is not physical, but it is virtual, and more dangerously virtual than actual physical. Therefore, this one more example I will say and finish it. I don't want to go, at the end of the day, on a very this thing like AA is no good. No, you take the feel-good feeling of from today morning you have gone through, but think over this. In Google, one engineer was there, his name is Blake Lemoine. You can check it out, fact check or truth check. He was sacked last year. I like Google. I'm using Google for understanding so much of information. It's like a ready encyclopedia at your fingertips. That's great. Why he was sacked? Because he claimed that artificial intelligence, they've got a model called Lambda. Google has got a model called Lambda. Some of you may be knowing it, others will be interested. You may like to find out what it is, but he mentioned that Lambda's certain parts are sentient. Sentient means artificial intelligence is trying to behave like human being. So, already in HR, human resources, in assessing a man's merit, artificial intelligence is being used in many places without full disclosure to everybody. It is not necessary for them to disclose how an assessment was made. Assessment was made on one-to-one basis, on the basis of records, and also on the basis of AI. So AI is an assistant here, but AI should not be the deciding factor. AI is your cell phone, you should command. Without a command, this cell phone should not command you. It can give you an alarm and tell you to wake up, my dear, you're lazy. Get ready, my dear, it's going to be dinner. Now there is going to be another networking session. What do you network? Annual general, be alert, things like that. But that's okay, but nothing more than that. Therefore, AI can be used in interrogation and even your recruitment. There is a model already in which I am standing here. I don't know how many of these lights or concealed cameras are where, and it can figure out from there, finding out how much is the knowledge I have about what I'm speaking. How much is the prevarication about me, that is telling something and doing something else. 51 parameters or 50 parameters are in this AI permutation combination to see how many of twitching of muscles, how my focus of eyes, whether I am sweating here, whether I am doing some funny action, whether I am restless, all this. So AI, to conclude, should be artificial intelligence working under as your subordinate. If you want, you go back to a book called Homo Deus. It's written by Harari. It's a beautiful book. It says of the merits and demerits of AI. So AI should be deployed to the human being's well-being. But ultimately, it is a human, that is you, who will be the master, who will be the motivator, who will be the energy-giving, and who will be the main person of your team. All of you have got potential for growth, and it gives me enormous pleasure, great pleasure to be here as part of this team, be sitting along and releasing the book of Dr. Philip, whom I really appreciate, admire. Congratulations for this, and thank you all for this patience. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today, and we are totally inspired by your insightful speech. AI should be your assistant and not your director. AI is good, but use it wisely. I did remember a Thirukural after listening to sir's speech, which is, ஈன்ற பெரினும் உலவோ கரியற் சென்று சான்றோர்க்கு அஞ்சாதலை, which means, is there any greater greatness for a leader than being fearless in leading the wise and virtuous? Thank you so much, sir, for the inspiring session. So now I hand over the stage to Jahan.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to introduce a leader whose contributions have been transformative across various spheres of policing, Dr. Prateep V. Philip, IPS. A 1987 batch IPS officer and also a recipient of Prime Minister's Medal for Meritorious Service in 2023 and President's Medal for Distinguished Service in 2012. Dr. Prateep V. Philip, IPS, is the founder of Friends of Police concept in India, which won him the coveted Queen's Award in 22. In his 34 years of career, he has held several sensitive posts and retired as DGP. He is an ardent writer, as Vijay Kumar sir has said. Based on his life and policing experience, he has authored Philippisms, a book containing 3,333 maxims inspired by Tirukural. A sample from his Philippisms goes like this: change challenges us, but challenge changes us. What you can't mend, end. What you can't end, mend. That was some of the remarkable quotes I got inspired from, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Prateep V. Phillips, IPS, to talk on pillars of project management excellence.
Great evening, ladies and gentlemen. I said great evening, not good evening. Everybody together, great evening. You don't need any more energizers. Vijay Kumar sir, actually you need a doctorate many times over, and I think the PMI recognizes scholarship and erudition, and they have rightly conferred it on you. And it is quite delayed. Dr. Parvez Alam, the president of the Chennai chapter of PMI, Mr. Vijay Narayanan, the secretary, PMI Chennai, Mr. Sivaram, Dr. Dinesh Babu Davamani, other distinguished guests and invitees on and off the stage, and above all, ladies and gentlemen, friends of different ages. It's truly a great privilege and pleasure for me to be present here, not just to deliver the valedictory address, but to witness someone whom I greatly admire, a mentor over many decades in a variety of ways, in visible and subtle ways. Vijay Kumar has always been an inspiration for anyone who encountered him even briefly. And as you would have seen today, he is as skilled with the intellect and the pen and with expression as he is with the gun and with muscles. Many people might see him as a stereotype cop, a macho cop. But I've always seen that cerebral dimension of him, even as he spoke in the Chief Minister's conference, and while referring to extremism, he used the metaphor, I do not know, sir, whether you remember, he used the metaphor that stuck in my mind, Vibgyor. He said that as long as these extremists stay on the violet to orange, it's okay, but when they digress into the red, that's when we have to respond. And he has been a practitioner of that art of dealing with extremism, with that kind of extreme fervor, and has been able to squash many threats, not just in Tamil Nadu, but over the expanses of the badlands of the country in the north, infested with many variations of extremists. But it is his intellectual dimension that I wanted to highlight today. And as he rightly said, he harked back to the Sangamam, which the theme of today, you are called Sangamam 24. And he referred to the ancient bard, the ancient sage, Tiruvallavar. And I was reminded of that anecdote of how Tiruvallavar could not get entry into that Sangamam. And I was told that he needed the recommendation of the poetess Avai. And Avai sent a note to whoever was the chairman of PMI at that time, that he has captured the ocean on a grain of sand. And it is this admiration for Tamil Nadu's heritage of philosophy, of love of wisdom, manifested in this love for the Tirukural that inspired me over the last 3 decades to write a book called Philippisms, 3,333 Maxims, a world record in its own right, as no other book contains that so many thoughts of a single author within the covers of a single book. And one of the contextual sayings that I can remember is that you can save money, but money cannot save you. You can save money, but money cannot save you. And yet, I was inspired in the month of March suddenly when this thought floated up from the subconscious. Sense X. I had that eureka feeling immediately. Wow, this is a powerful new concept. A flash in the pan that can empower financially disempowered people. I wouldn't say financially illiterate people, but financially disempowered people. Because I had spent the longest stint in my service not hunting an outlaw like Sir did, putting lives on peril, but going ahead with that one credo that he mentioned when he was being honored by the Honorable Chief Minister. One mission, one goal, one team. That was what kept them going for decades. But I recall, sir, that I do not know whether you recall that one morning I called you and said, sir, if anyone would kill and capture Veerappan, it would be you. That was intuition. It said that, intuition is what you learn from the eternal, and tuition is what you learn from others. There is much that I've learned from mentors like Sri Vijay Kumar, but the intuitive ideas that suddenly come across from the subconscious to the conscious, that sparks one's imagination. So once this concept of Sense X was born, I decided to flesh it out as principles, 26 principles corresponding to the mnemonic alphabet A to Z. Like A for analyze. I'm not going to give you a spoiler alert by spelling out the entire content of the book, but just teasers so that you would be tempted to get the book and read it in detail. It starts with A for analyze, B for budget, and goes on to Z, zero in on your long-term objectives. My entire passion in the police service was how to prevent and preempt crime. And as I mentioned, those 3.5 years, the longest stint in the department in Tamil Nadu, in economic offences wing, and for me personally the longest, that gave me an exposure to a large number of people whom you would normally think that they are financially well aware, including a World Bank auditor, was shedding tears in front of me, saying, I said, why didn't you just do a footprint check on Google with just the name of this company and the name of that individual, and you would have discovered the number of frauds that he was involved in. He was an IIT gold medalist, but unfortunately, he strayed off the straight and narrow and eluded the dragnet of the entire country's enforcement agencies, central and state. But during that long innings that I had, just as Sir focused on pursuing that one fugitive who spelt violence and mayhem across the forests of Tamil Nadu in the western zones, or spilling into 3 states. This man eluded us and went to many states, but we cast the dragnet and eventually got him, and even today, if you Google, you would find him still in prison. But I found that a large number of people were being deluded by such scamsters and fraudsters, and there was a mutation in the types of frauds that they were perpetrating from decade to decade. And I think that compassion or that feeling, that empathy for the victim that has always been a part of my policing is what 3 years down the line after I had laid down office or refired, I don't say retired, but refired, as a startup entrepreneur, I myself am part of you now as a project manager. And I have registered a company called Sentient Biotech Private Limited. And that's why when Dinesh put me on this new project, I had no idea of launching a book at this occasion, but he put me on this project by saying, sir, why don't you launch a new book of yours in addition to the old one, Philippisms? And within 20 days, thanks to that interaction, we achieved this objective of getting this book out. And I have a lot to be grateful to the PMI, Chennai, in addition to my debt to Sir for having added to the visibility, the visibility on social media for this obscure, unknown title has increased manifold. And he has been the X factor in attracting attention from even people in Africa, in Europe, in US, to this new concept. It is a new concept because so far you don't have the idea of financial quotient. You have intelligence quotient. When we were young, we said intelligence quotient is what will get you there. And people focused on IQ. And then when we were a little older in 1993, Daniel Goleman brought out a book which is the largest selling book of nonfiction said to be in history till that time, Emotional Intelligence or EQ. He said EQ is what will ensure success in the long run. But this is FIQ, financial quotient, or financial intelligence, not in terms of the economy or in terms of business, but in terms of the personal finance management of a single individual. It is your personal financial quotient. And there is an instrument at the end of the book in 17 questions with many sub-questions to cover all the nuances. It will give you a percentile score of what is your FIQ or financial quotient, which I call Sense Space X. So Sense X is the intuitive way or ability of a human to deal with his finances, to deal with the changing landscape, the uncertainties of the financial landscape. That there are changes in the economy, changes in business cycle, changes in personal fortunes, as we have witnessed during the traumatic period of the pandemic. People losing jobs and spending their lifetime savings. So in addition to people becoming victims to scams and frauds, the inevitable sometimes comes up before one's face. And there is a need for Sense X to plan years in advance. The last decade of my career, unlike many of my colleagues who still rely only on their pension, which is quite not sufficient to maintain your standard of living, I focused on developing some passive sources of income, rental income. And in addition to that, I am also Director Risk Management in a public limited company. I'm also consultant to an Australian software asset management company to refer to very large enterprises in India and overseas, along with Yota, the data management company, which hosts the largest cloud hosting service in India. So this book talks about the need to have multiple streams of income, not to rely only on your salary, and to put away small sums of money, which will add up to a substantial corpus. Sir knows that most of us who walked the straight and narrow had no savings. But when we retired, thanks probably to inflation, we now get a fairly large corpus. And for the first time, I could put that corpus into various mutual funds, not just one. And I kept 3 agents because each of them has their own priorities and styles. One of them is, of course, here. And so I benefit from the advice that the 3 of them give. And can you imagine that on certain days I see the blip on the radar goes up and there is a change of value to the extent of 1.85 lakhs. Of course, it's a notional increase. Someday it may come down by an equal number. So one needs to plan for emergencies, to have an emergency fund, and virtually have a 360-degree grasp on finance, personal finance. But this is not something that is taught in a business school. And it's also said that management is 95% psychology and only 5% technology or hardware, your AI. As Sir says, AI has to be subordinated to NI. What is NI? Natural intelligence. Whenever you speak of AI, also speak about NI. There should not be an abject surrender to technology. Technology has its uses as an enabler, but one should not become a victim of it. And if we listen to people like Elon Musk, he says that AI is more dangerous than even nukes. And that we see in terms of the number of fake videos that are coming out. And the point is coming where you cannot distinguish between real and fake. But I appreciate that in project management, you could use AI subjected to your own natural intelligence to predict outcomes, to predict deficiencies in projects, and enable the resources to be mobilized so that that particular objective is achieved at least cost and at greatest benefit to the company or organization. So Sensex, ladies and gentlemen, is an original contribution, and I request the PMI, not just Chennai chapter, but worldwide, that in the interests of people who have not become financially educated, don't talk about financially literate, but financially educated and financially empowered. They say that only 4% of the population of a country like India are financially literate, let alone financially educated. And that is why an influential person on LinkedIn, he has a 1% club. He says only 1% of people are financially savvy. And so now that we have handled the challenges of literacy in this country and raised it up to 80% plus, and the country's economy is beginning to boom, and we see the stock exchange also booming, and various sectors also looking up, bullish. It is time that people get educated financially. Otherwise, the fraudsters are very knowledgeable. They have a higher level of awareness. For any crime to take place, you need a criminal, you need a victim, you need an opportunity. And now the opportunities are so great because in some parts of this country, if you have not seen movies like Jamtara on Netflix, the saying there in the Finternet jungle is, don't feed a hungry man a fish, teach him fishing, which is Phishing. And it's actually happening. They have cyber schools. I reached out with a lot of passion to try to end this when I was Economic Offenses ADGP. To my batchmate who was the #1, numero uno in the police in that particular state. And he said, I'm helpless. So you see, there is more to it than meets the eye. That even the police force is not able to take on these challenges head on. And that is why the people should be empowered. And who are the victims? The victims are mostly in upmarket states like Tamil Nadu. These are the advanced parts of the country where people have some extra funds thanks to their foresight and ability. And every day, thousands on thousands of people are preyed upon. Almost every week, someone calls me and says that I I got paralyzed. You know, what happens is when the predator talks to you, your logic gets paralyzed. And that's why it never surrender natural intelligence. And then you, like a zombie, you just yield to it. And the other day, an IT worker, 2 days ago, IT worker whom I know, he said, sir, I'm aware of these frauds. I said, how did you not know that on FB people would reach out saying they are a friend and ask you to transfer? He said, no, in a moment I just did that. So the opportunity for fraudsters are increasing, and there is a need to empower the people who are going to be their victims. And this book is intended in that, in that direction. Apart from this, 2 other original concepts that I would briefly share is Exenomics. Exenomics is the world's first subject to study excellence in all its dimensions. If you study excellence in all its dimensions and implement it, automatically the numbers chase you. Normally in business, you chase the numbers and chase excellence only tangentially. Apple is a company which practices this. So if India as a nation, and if our corporates, and if you project managers take this philosophy of Exenomics, there is enough writing about it on Google. If you Google with EXCENOMICS, and you could spread that message through your chapters. It could become part of a curriculum of many universities, as I'm trying with my alma mater in Bangalore. And the third original contribution, which actually leads me to generate new ideas, to be an ideator, is something that I developed when I was between the age of 18 and 33. When I was 18, I said, how do I find a key to my mind, a soul pulse, by which my mind will be continually active and learning, even when I'm sleeping. And I discovered Be At It in the year 81. And 13 years later, I discovered the complementary part, Beat It. And then I said, aha, this is a new thought process. What do I call it? Equilibrium thinking. And so this is the basis of equilibrium psychology. Positive psychology is not the whole truth, though it is half the truth. And if you practice equilibrium psychology, your brain tends to become more creative, because there is always the tension between the opposites. And in fact, I conclude by saying that Sentient Biotech, which I have founded, the firm is trying to discover a machine, a headset, along with a wristwatch, which will coordinate the brain waves and other parameters and have an X-ray of the holistic health, the mental and emotional health of an individual. And this is where I need to learn from you project managers how to achieve this key objective within a set time. And I'm sure in the days to come, I will be interacting with many of you, not as a valedictory speaker, but as a student. I once again thank all the office bearers of the PMI chapter Chennai for having invited us. Very rarely, as Sir says, cops are called to events like this. And once I remember he called me and asked me, what is an oxymoron? I said, it's a moron. He's a moron from Oxford. In a lighter way. And so we are greatly honored to be here. And on behalf of Sir, and especially I want to express my gratitude to him for having spared time just on the day when he is planning a long travel overseas and on the eve of his birthday. He shares his birthday month with me. That is another common thread. And so I'm sure, sir, I hope that this will add to the fervor of your celebration tomorrow with so many vibes, so many people loving you just for who you are and what you do. God bless. Thank you.
Dr. Prateep V. Philip, IPS, thank you, sir, for your enlightening presentation on financial management and progress, perfectly complementing the launch of your book, SenseX. Your bold and insightful delivery has equipped us with valuable knowledge on building strong wealth. Sir, I should say that The way you presented with magnificent voice reminds me about the old voice that comes in the old comic, He-Man. Sir, you have arrested all of us today with your magnificent voice. Thank you, sir. We wish we get the privilege of releasing your next book also in the next year's Sangamam, along with Vijay Kumar sir's book, if that's going to happen. Now, with that, I request our President, Parvez Alam, to felicitate Dr. Pradeep P. Phillips with a memento. I request Parvez Alam to felicitate Mr. K. Vijay Kumar, IPS, former DGP, Senior Security Advisor, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Thank you, sir. It was indeed a privilege to have you both gentlemen on the dais of Sangamam 24. Thank you all.